The United Kingdom is one of the most well-known places in the world. Sports, literature, and culture are among the United Kingdom's claim to fame. In fact, most of the sports we enjoy today were invented in Britain, just like soccer, cricket, and golf. Of course, we can't forget the significant people that gave us the classic literary pieces we continue to admire today, including William Shakespeare and Charles Dickens, who are both from the UK. Of course, let's not forget the Queen of the UK. In this video, we compiled all of the most interesting and mysterious things discovered in the country. From the Knights Templar church ruin to the Cashel Man, here are 15 shocking things recently discovered in the United Kingdom. Number 15. Knights Templar Church Ruin. Temple Brewer is the name of the Knights Templar church ruin located in the village of Ashby de la Lownde in England. This building is history-rich. It's one of the few Knights Templar sites that remain standing in England. If you don't know about the Knights Templar, they're a huge organization of devout Christians during the medieval era that carried out an important mission. These knights were tasked to protect European travelers while visiting sites in the Holy Land, but they also do military operations from time to time. The Crusades raged on from 1096 to 1462. When the Christians finally captured Jerusalem from Muslim control, many pilgrims from Western Europe started to visit the Holy Land, but because of the Crusade, many of them died. The Knights Templar became the solution to this problem. That's all we know about this organization so far. The Knights were very secretive, powerful, and wealthy. It's no wonder that still today, many conspiracy theories still surround their men. Imagine how many secrets these people have. During their reign, the Knights built numerous castles and they won many battles for Christianity. However, even the mighty fall down. In the late 12th century, the Muslim armies retook Jerusalem, and this turned the tide of the Crusades. The Knights were forced to relocate several times, and in 1291, their last refuge got destroyed. It didn't take long before the Templars' name got stained and covered with scrutiny, doubt, and negativity. Many took advantage of the Knight Templars' fall to uncover their weakness, the source of their power, and their wealth. On October 13, 1307, many of them were arrested and brutally tortured. Even until their deaths, they refused to tell any information regarding the organization. Many of them confessed wild lies instead, ranging from heresy, financial corruption, to devil worshipping. Many people feared the power of the Knights, and it became the cause of their downfall. Today, many people still say that the order still lives on, and there are still several conspiracies and speculations that they still continue to guard Christianity's most precious secrets and treasures. Because of this morbid history, some say that the ruins of the Templar are haunted and filled with remorse. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 14. Halagi Fugu. The Halagi Fugu is an underground passage that was thought to have been made during the Iron Age around 2,400 years ago. It's located near the Trelawarren estate on the Lizard Peninsula in England. The underground passages of the complex are all roofed and walled in stone. It's quite hard to believe that people during the Iron Age managed to accomplish such a difficult feat. The Halagi Fugu is also situated on top of a hill, making it the largest, highest, and best preserved underground tunnels in Cornwall. The word Fugu means cave in the Cornish language, but that's just about the only thing we know about the site today. Researchers, historians, and archaeologists continue to scratch their heads as to what the purpose of this site is still today. It's quite possible that this site was used as a ritual shrine, a storage chamber, or it may have been a place of refuge. The most believable hypothesis is that the Fugu was part of a settlement of several families that lasted for about 700 years. The Fugu may have helped generations upon generations to store their food and perform rituals. The experience inside the underground passage can be pretty scary, especially if you're claustrophobic. As you go deeper into the complex, the passage grows narrower and lower. You'll also feel the temperature drop as it gets darker. Perhaps the real purpose of the Fugu will never be uncovered, but who knows? We just may stumble upon a clue as we continue to explore the site. Number 13. Long Meg and Her Daughters. No, the next discovery isn't a set of a mummy family. Long Meg and Her Daughters is actually a stone circle found in the north of England, and it's the finest one on Earth. The whole circle has a diameter of about 350 feet, and it's the second biggest stone circle in the country next to Avebury. Long Meg is, of course, the tallest of the 69 stones, standing at about 12 feet. The stone contains 3 mysterious symbols with its 4 corners surprisingly facing the points of the compass. It's estimated that this stone circle dates back to around 1500 BC. No one knows the real purpose of the stone circle, but judging by how many stone circles there are in the country, these circles may have been used as a meeting place or a venue for some sort of religious ritual. Long Meg's so-called daughters are small boulders of rhyolite, which is a form of granite. A very interesting legend is tied to the stone's name. According to the local folks, Long Meg was once a witch that turned to stone for profaning the Sabbath as they danced wildly on the moor. Because of this act, she was turned into stone along with her daughters. The circle is supposedly magical, and the exact number of stones is impossible to count. No matter how many times you recount, you won't get the same number twice in a row. But if you do, then the spell cast upon Long Meg and her daughters would be broken. Number 12. Avebury Stone Circle. The Avebury Henge is another stone circle found in Britain. It was built between 2850 and 2200 BC. The henge encircles part of the beautiful Avebury village with a diameter of about 1,088 feet, making it Britain's largest stone circle. Originally, it was composed of about 100 stones, but it decreased due to alteration over the years. Just like the Stonehenge, the creation and purpose of the Avebury Stone Circle is pretty mysterious. Today, we rely on modern machines to help us haul and erect massive statues and stones, but people that lived thousands of years ago didn't have the luxury of modern-day technology. It's a wonder why these people would go to extreme lengths just to create these stone circles. Stones that were used to form the Avebury Stone Circle are about 12 to 18 feet tall and weigh up to a staggering 80,000 pounds. Imagine that. The leading theory is that the Avebury Stone Circle was created as a worship site. People back then strongly believed that the harvest and the weather depended on the will of the gods, and so they found it crucial to create sites to perform rituals that would appease them. Perhaps the people's strong hope that the gods would protect them from bad harvest and diseases drove them to accomplish such an impressive sight. Number 11. The Dark Hedges. Get your cameras and your Polaroids because we're about to show you one of the most picturesque and surreal places in the UK. This is the Dark Hedges, found in the Brega Road located in Northern Ireland. If you're a fan of the Game of Thrones, then you might recognize this eerily beautiful road. For locals living in the area, the Dark Hedges isn't anything special. After all, it's just some huge trees surrounded by farmers' fields. But for many people, the road, the intertwining tree branches of the beech trees create the perfect shot. Photographers and painters all over the world come to this road just to appreciate the beauty of nature. However, over the years, the tree branches pruned and the tunnel isn't as impressive as it was before, although it is still hauntingly beautiful. Number 10. Medieval Pendant. Because of recent circumstances, we're all forced to stay inside our houses to stay safe and healthy. Most of us developed new hobbies and learned new skills. While some got into cooking, knitting, crocheting, or even drawing, several people in Britain got into quite an unusual hobby called amateur treasure hunting. You don't really need to have a degree to become a treasure hunter. After all, sometimes all you need to find treasure is some tools, intuition, luck, and lots of patience. You'd be surprised that the so-called amateurs contributed to over 50,000 archaeologically significant finds. Among the discoveries they found were several pendants. One was a cross pendant with runic inscriptions that belonged in the Anglo-Saxon period. The inscriptions seemed to bear the name translated to Irdaf, which is an unusual name, never seen before in any records. The pendant is just an inch long and made of solid gold. To date, the pendant is the earliest Anglo-Saxon object found in the area. Number 9. The Shell Grotto. The Shell Grotto was just an accidental discovery in 1835, and it came as a complete surprise to people around town. Ever since then, the origins and purpose of the grotto became highly debated. Located in Kent, England, the Margate Shell Grotto is one of the greatest treasures of the country. I mean, where else in the world will you be able to see an establishment made up of about 4.6 million seashells? The craftsmanship in this building is very impressive. According to local stories, farmer James Newlove and his son Joshua were trying to dig a duck pond in 1835 when they struck upon this underground cavern. They were both surprised when they saw the walls adorned with millions of cockles, mollusks, oysters, and other seashells on the walls. What's more impressive is that the shells weren't haphazardly glued to the wall. They form intricate designs portraying animals like birds and reptiles. Geometrical patterns are also present in the area. Being inside the 2,000 square foot establishment will certainly make you feel as if you're looking at someone's passion and hard work. No one knows the exact age of the grotto, but that wasn't the most important question people wanted to know. Thousands speculated about the origin of the Shell Grotto, and the theories range from simple to outlandish. Some claim that it may have been the work of an ancient civilization thousands of years ago, considering the traces of patterns that allegedly looked Egyptian, Roman, Indian, and Phoenician. Another theory suggests that it may have been commissioned by an eccentric Victorian aristocrat. Some also attribute the grotto to the Knights Templar, saying this may have been one of their many treasures. There are more questions than answers in this grotto, but the fact that it's an astounding and impressive cultural site is true. Number 8. Stonehenge. The Stonehenge is one of the United Kingdom's claims to fame, and it's one of its most well-recognized treasures. The stone circle is known all over the world, and yet even today its secrets are still not fully discovered. Each year, archaeologists propose papers and theories surrounding the Stonehenge, but they continue to be up for speculation and debate. It's located in the Salisbury Plain, about 8 miles north of Salisbury, Wiltshire in England. The stones, also called sarsens, are around 7 meters tall, and each one weighs about 20 tons. There are 15 stones comprising the Stonehenge. Again, no one knows how our ancestors managed to stack the stones on top of each other, considering its weight and height. When it was analyzed before, scientists needed to equip heavy machinery just to raise the stones, so it's amazing to think that people thousands of years ago made this site with just their hands. There are a couple of theories that explain the purpose of the Stonehenge, with the most famous one claiming that it's a giant observatory created to observe celestial and astronomical alignments. Some say that the view and location of the Stonehenge may be a burial site and a place for healing. Number 7. Tintagel Castle. The Tintagel Castle is a legendary Cornish castle linked to the stories of King Arthur. This site is perhaps one of the most spectacular historic sites in Britain. This medieval castle is located on the peninsula of Tintagel Island, adjacent to the village of Trevena, North Cornwall. It was first associated with King Arthur by historians around 1135 to 1138. Ever since, the castle became more famous because of its association with the legend. Some books claim that the Tintagel Castle is the site of Arthur's conception, but this is an unfounded claim. Major excavations in the site not only revealed the haunting beauty of the castle ruins, but also intricate artifacts like pottery and glass. This solidified the claim that the people that resided in the fortification back then were of an upper-class status. In fact, archaeologists even found some expensive wine imported from the eastern Mediterranean, as well as food vessels from North Africa and Gaul. At the time, only people with high rank and status were able to taste these luxuries. The Tintagel Castle's reign and glory may be reduced to ruins, but people today still continue to uncover its mysteries. Number 6. Eyam Plague Village. On the 1st of November 1666, worker Abraham Morton roamed the Eyam village in Derbyshire. That day, he gasped his final breath and became the last of the 260 people to die from the bubonic plague in the village. This village shows the hopeless and tragic story of villagers that tried to survive the horrible plague that claimed the lives of more than 25 million people across Europe. Most of the people living in Eyam were farmers. At the time of the plague, the rich fled the capital to their country estates to escape the spread of the terrible sickness. Of course, the authorities had no power to stop the rich and the powerful. Little did they know that when the people in the capital and the cities fled towards the countryside, they only helped the plague to further spread. The plague infested the village around August of 1665. The folks of Eyam were decisive. Instead of going outside, the folks in the village chose to go into isolation to prevent the spread of the illness. Soon enough, they were known as the Plague Village, with people that chose to stay in the village despite the raging disease. Many chose to stay and die in the village instead of running away. The villagers thought that they'd rather die than to see the other nearby villages decimated. A noble act indeed, but it also caused the downfall of the village. Nonetheless, the Eyam village still continues to be part of the country's great history. Number 5. Alnwick Poison Garden. The Alnwick Poison Garden will certainly teach you not to touch anything you're not familiar with. Unlike most gardens in the world created to treat guests and visitors with the most beautiful and fragrant flowers, The Anwick Poison Garden is literally filled with plants that can kill you. Not many people dare to enter the garden. The gate alone is enough to spook many. It's filled with around 100 toxic, intoxicating, and narcotic plants. Of course, the visitors are extremely prohibited to touch, smell, and taste any of the plants, unless they want imminent death. Although there are still occasional reports of people fainting because of the fumes from the plants while they're roaming the garden. Minus the poisonous and potentially deadly part, the garden is surely an interesting place to explore. One of the plants found in the garden is the angel's trumpet. In the Victorian era, women used to put pollen from the angel's trumpet flower in their drinks to induce hallucinations. But just like other substances, large doses can be deadly. There's also the monkshood plant, which is a pretty purple plant filled with poison enough to end an entire village by putting it in their drinking well. Do you now get how dangerous the garden is? If you get the chance, do you dare enter this place? And now it's time for today's topic. There are many weird creatures around the world, but with how creative people are today, it's hard to determine whether accounts and pictures of strange creatures are true or not. This photo, for example, appears to be a humanoid creature with a muzzle and a protective cone, usually used for cats and dogs. I don't think the muzzle fits its mouth, and I don't know why it needed to wear a muzzle in the first place. This was allegedly spotted in a local backyard, but we can't verify what this thing truly is. This is certainly one of the most shocking things recently discovered in the UK. It looks like one of Patricia Piccanini's creations, and there's a huge possibility it's just a sculpture or a CGI image. What do you think of this? Is this a real creature or another hoax? As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's topic and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 4. Orkney Island Stone Balls. 2 round stone balls were found in an ancient tomb on Orkney Islands north of mainland Scotland. The 2 balls were allegedly shaped and created roughly 5,500 years ago. Similar artifacts have been found in England, Ireland, and Norway. Many believe that the balls were used as weapons, and they're sometimes referred to as mace heads, while some people believe that they were used as some sort of ammunition. However, some say that they were created purely for artistic and aesthetic purposes. Number 3. Sutton Hoo. The Sutton Hoo is one of the treasure troves of historical artifacts in Europe. It's the site of 2 early medieval cemeteries that date back from the 6th to the 7th centuries. Excavations in this area shed light to a ship burial containing a wealth of Anglo-Saxon artifacts and many more. They found silverware, luxurious textiles, gold dress accessories, and even a set of Sri Lankan garments in the site. The most astounding thing of all is a helmet with a human mask. Archaeologists immediately concluded that the grave they found belonged to an important person. Until today, there are still many theories regarding the identity of the person buried in the grave. Some say that the amount of treasures found in the area suggests that the place is the last resting place of a powerful unnamed king, while some say perhaps the person is a mighty warrior. There's one huge factor to consider though. Part of the reason why the owner of the grave can't be identified is because the body itself is missing. The grave was unearthed in 1939, and the body may have already been completely decomposed because of the acidic local soil. Only the human-shaped gap in the treasures remain, and perhaps we'll never know the owner of these astounding treasures. Number 2. Mummy Arm. Walking on the beach is always a relaxing thing to do, but what would you do if you suddenly stumble upon a blackened arm on the coast side? In 2018, one beachgoer was horrified to see a blackened arm while walking along the coast of Gower in the southwest region of Wales. It wasn't just any other arm. In fact, it belonged to a mummified ancient Egyptian that possibly lived from 747 to 332 BC. Do you know about the curse of the pharaohs? They say that Egyptian mummies are often tied with bad luck, especially if you try to take them. Well, this one man suffered from ill fate after he picked up the arm from the beach. The man went back home and put the arm in his back garden. However, it didn't paint him in a pretty light when authorities caught wind of the arm and arrested him as a potential killer. The man was held for several days before being released, but by that time, his reputation had already spread across town, and the man's girlfriend had already broken up with him. How tragic. After knowing that the arm is more valuable than how it looks, the Egypt Center in Swansea took custody of it and tried to determine the origins of the arm. They suspect that the arm may have been part of an old collection. At the peak of the Egyptian digs, many people all over the world, mainly in Europe, made it so that they could bring home mummies from Egypt as some sort of memorabilia or souvenir. This arm may have belonged to one of those until it got lost, stolen, or discarded. Thankfully, the arm didn't cause any curses after that one instance. Number 1. Cashel Man. The Cashel Man is one of the bog bodies discovered across Europe, and it's considered to be the oldest. The body was discovered in the middle of a peat bog, lying on the right side with the legs tightly flexed. Sadly, the head, neck, and left arm of the remains were removed by the milling machine. Radiocarbon dating of the bog suggests that it belonged to a man that lived and died in the early Bronze Age around 2000 BC. At the time, the ritual of sacrificing a young man was thought to be prevalent in most parts of Ireland. The discovery of the Cashel Man and other bog bodies solidified the theory that bogs were seen as important and maybe even sacred places by people before. Have you ever been to the United Kingdom? If so, which places did you visit, and how was your experience? And do you know of any other discoveries in the UK? Let us know about them in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.